Hey everybody, this week we're in Indianola, Mississippi, passing through. We went to a harvest host and it was a special one. We went to the B.B. King Museum. Come run away with us.
Roll the intro. So good.
So good, my man.
Anytime.
I did the intro. Come on.
So we were doing Harvest Host. We've talked about Harvest Host before. We stayed at a winery when we were in North Carolina.
Yep.
This is in Mississippi. I always like to say Missouri. I see that MS and I think Missouri.
We weren't up north. We were down south.
Down south Mississippi. On our way to New Orleans.
Yes.
And we found this along the way. And while there were campgrounds definitely that we could do a one-night stay at,
Right.
Harvest Host is a great program. And you get to see things that you probably wouldn't see normally.
Yeah.
You get to park in the parking lot. There is room for, I think, even a 45-footer would be fine as long as you're not getting there during like a jam-packed day.
It was a day where there really wasn't many people there. And we got there a little bit later in the afternoon.
We absolutely
About
did.
4
Which was
o'clock.
perfect. In fact, there was someone in an Airstream who wasn't doing a Harvest Host, was just visiting.
They belong to Harvest Host. They didn't even know it was a Harvest Host.
Didn't know it was on the list. So
Worked out for us. We got
yeah,
a good
because when
spot.
they left, we were able to take their spot, so that
But
made it easy.
You can probably fit at least two RVs comfortably. You could probably fit a third smaller RV.
Yeah,
in front of us, but-
definitely. But you're not going to want to stick around.
No.
I would highly recommend trying to get there toward the latter part of the day. Get set up real quick.
But
Go
before
do the
museum
museum.
yeah,
do the
before the museum
museum.
closes.
That way you can be packed up and gone before they open in the morning because you are in their parking lot.
Right. And give yourself enough time. So if you arrive late enough, make sure before you leave, get in when they open first thing, and give yourself an hour and a half to 2 hours at least. There's a lot of good information there.
Yeah, I mean, you need at least an hour for sure. If you want to read more of the exhibits,
Like me.
you'll probably need an hour and a half to 2 hours
Right.
because there was a lot of information. But this was an amazing spot.
fantastic.
This museum, you would feel like, is in a major city and
Yeah.
not in this little town. And it's in Indianola mainly because it's very close to where he was born.
Right.
He was born not far from there, and to him, Indianola was the city until he finally said, "I'm going to try doing music," and went up to Memphis. Then he saw, "Oh my, that's a city!" But to them, to B.B. King at the time, it was this. This was the city. It's an old building that was repurposed for the museum.
Right.
It has a gift shop. But you start off with a nice little film that is a retrospective with B.B. King in it.
Right.
It shows him going to like the cotton fields where he was born, where his family worked. Talks about his journey into music.
Yeah.
His bus driver is taking him around to different places. So it was a really great little
Yeah.
movie. And then you kind of enter into the museum and you start from his childhood and you get to see a lot of artifacts of the time. So even if you're not like huge into B.B. King music, it's great to see just the progression of
And-
someone who many would consider a legend.
Right. And other artists, you can see how they were influenced
Yeah.
by his music.
Absolutely.
And it's an interactive museum as well. So there's a lot of cool things. You can listen to headphones and listen to different styles of music from that era.
And a lot of different videos, and it was great. I thought the way they did it was fantastic because they had a little video that you could watch, and they weren't usually more than 5-minute videos.
Right.
But the artifacts and the stuff that was around the videos all talked about what was in the video. So like you watch the video and then you could see some of the things they were just talking about.
Right.
He wanted to be on the radio, and they said, "Oh, you have to be able to write a jingle," and he they gave him a product. He wrote a jingle in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, that'll
You're
work.
hired.
So he still had the beverage that he wrote the jingle for.
Right.
And just amazing little different things. So, I mean, it was great. So we're going to walk around with the video with you, and we'll show you some of those things that we were just talking about. So this is the outside leading in. And how much was, I can't remember, how much was the tickets, do you remember?
Each ticket, it was $15.
$15 for adults. And I think there was like discounts for military and seniors and stuff
Right,
like that.
for kids too.
That was the entrance into the movie. You were talking to that woman, and she was full of great information too.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful staff at this
They really
place
were.
too.
So then you kind of go through the historic areas, just about his life and, you know, the struggles he had, and how he learned to play guitar. And just moving along, most people know that he's famous for a certain style guitar, which he named Lucille. He, in fact, ran into a burning building to save Lucille. But it just talks about how that Delta area was really famous for blues music.
Right.
And they just, a ton of artifacts. This one was fantastic because it was like talking about segregation in a bus and how the times were coming, and you got to sit in like a faux bus.
Right.
Obviously the costumes, and here's one of Lucille's. There's several different Lucille's that have been around, so you'll see a few of them. But I just thought it was great. So many artists have worked with him, or said that he was the reason that they got into music. Everyone from the Rolling Stones to the Beatles, and even Eric Clapton, who he did a record with, and they won a Grammy. I think it was called "Riding with the King," and it, yep, that one right there. It was really fantastic. He got some honorary degrees, and I mean, he met with presidents, he met with the Pope.
Yeah.
He was just a very friendly man.
Right. They show a replica of his home
yeah,
office,
this was
right?
what his home office was like
Right.
toward the end of, and you know, one period of time where he would record music, and he had a picture with President Bush and Vice President Quayle, I think. But it was really fantastic. And the one thing that we didn't expect was he's actually buried there, and they're building a more decorative courtyard over time. But right now he's in this little gated area, and there's his grave. So, I mean, it was a little back to back. We went from Elvis's grave to B.B. King's grave,
Right.
but that's okay. And then we just had a really great time there.
And here's our spot where we parked at the Harvest Host, and right across the street, we're panning around, was a little restaurant, the Blue Biscuit.
I ain't messing around with your heart. You'll be my one love. One love, baby. We're together.
Yeah, the Blue Biscuit is run, or had one time had the private chef for Morgan Freeman. He started this little restaurant. They do blues music, and I think even rock music, but it's very kitschy. It has a lot of stuff on the walls, but I thought it was really great that toward the back they had like a big, you're gonna see it right here. So this right here is all yearbooks of different times, the local areas and surrounding of. So you flip through yearbooks from the 50s and 60s, and just, you know, little thing. This was the salad and garden salads. You had a little bit more on yours.
Right.
They have some, like a Thousand Island with some kick. They had some
The
hush puppies.
were good.
Yeah, they had some peppers
in
in it, so it had a little kick, but it was really tasty.
Still good.
And then your flat iron steak, which
Right.
had a little butter melted in fries. I had a 12-hour pulled pork with coleslaw and beans, and the food was good. We did it only because we didn't want to dirty dishes. We were only there one night. We don't want to use as much water as we have on
Right.
board or create waste. So we just walked across and had dinner, and then we just came back and went to sleep.
Yeah. Got on the road again.
Yeah, it was like we had said, it's in a parking lot, and the police station is just on the other side of the of his grave, of his museum and his grave. So wasn't an area that we were too concerned about safety. There was a little bit of noise from the Blue Biscuit because they
Right.
were having a band that night.
Right.
So, but I really didn't hear it too much.
No, it was fine.
By 10 o'clock, I think we were both tired. So, short of full-on ruckus, it wouldn't have been too bad. So, once again, we talk about Harvest Host all the time. It's a membership program. You pay a yearly fee, but you get to stay places for free for one night. And they just ask you to partake of it, so that's what we did. So, I mean, in retrospect, the stop cost us $30, but we probably would have never known about this museum if it wasn't for Harvest Host.
Right.
So, you got to kind of discount that price a little bit and say, yeah, I paid that amount for the stay, but I got to see something that probably would have never gone to.
And that's the thing, the RV lifestyle, especially when you're full-time, it's a lot about making memories and seeing things that you never would have seen otherwise. And traveling as far as we've gone so far, we've definitely been able to see things that we just never would have seen.
Yeah, I don't know when I would ever have made it to Mississippi. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have any family or friends in
Right.
Mississippi currently. So it's not a state that I would have made a beeline for, even though there's great things to see. And I was happy to see this.
Yep.
I thought it was fantastic. I'm a fan, as we know from Jimi Hendrix, we're a fan of music and guitars.
That's right.
So it was it was a nice experience,
Yeah.
at least for me.
Yeah, I had a great time. It's a very updated museum as well.
Super modern.
It's really well worth the $15 to get in, for sure. We were very happy with our stay.
And if you're not into it, like I said, there was a gift shop. You could go in. We got a postcard for both of our parents,
Right.
For my mom and for your
magnet.
parents, and we got a magnet. We were trying to get commemorative, commemorative magnets from certain places, just to kind of remind us. Because again, like we said earlier on our Disney video, you don't have a lot of space, so collecting things is not an idea that you can really have. But if you do magnets, then
Makes a difference.
especially on our refrigerator, because it's a magnetic refrigerator, so it makes it easier. But so you could go in, buy something at the store, and fulfill your obligation to patronage for the Harvest Host. I didn't put the drone up. Obviously, we got there late. We wanted to get in. Not really much to see. It was a building.
Right.
All the good things to see were at ground level.
A lot of farmland in the area, so
Yeah.
wasn't a whole lot to see.
If you do go, don't necessarily listen to your Rand McNally. The road you come in on is fantastic. Then there's a gas truck stop area that you should turn left at, and that would be a much easier turn in. Our Rand McNally, even though it knows how tall and stuff, took us further in and down a side street, which emptied right at the museum. So, I mean, as we came down this little side street, there was a museum, but it made me do like an S turn.
A crazy turn to try and get in there.
So we had to bypass the museum, go to the next turn, unhook the Jeep, and went around to find out where they wanted us to park while I waited at kind of a mill. And then she directed me in for parking. So that's a tip for you if you're driving the RV. I don't know why I did that. While you're driving the RV, is sometimes the Rand McNally or your navigation system works perfectly. Sometimes you have to look at it and say, maybe this turn will be better.
Right. And also sometimes with, if you do belong to Harvest Host, if you go to their site for the BB King Museum, previous guests will leave notes to tell you,
You should do that.
potentially, I think I might do that.
Good.
I'll do that for someone else.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you for watching. If you want to watch more videos and you're like, how do I find them so easy? What can you do?
Go to Runaway With Us RV, hit the subscribe button, which most likely you're probably already there watching.
Unless you just found us by searching for BB King.
You never know.
So please subscribe to our videos. We'd like to talk to you a little bit about restaurants and where we're going.
Hit the like button.
Hit the like button if you
liked
like the
it.
video. Hit the dislike if you don't like it. Actually, if you didn't like it, just send me a comment. I'd rather you not dislike it, but I'd
There's
rather tell you why it was so great.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell if you're on the computer.
notifications.
I'll put the bell for notifications. And then we're on Instagram and Facebook. And then we always have our website, which is runawaywithusrv.com. And I always post the latest video and where we actually are at the time. So where we're sitting this moment, you could see where we are through the website.
And we release videos every Sunday. Sometimes we put an extra video in the middle of the week as well. So
Yeah,
you
but
can
not
always
part
look for
of
that.
not part of our journey.
No,
Just random wanting to talk to you videos.
exactly.
Thanks so much,
All right,
everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Take a little